Hi, this is Jan Helfeld. I'm going to give you an analysis of the presidential debate, which maybe you just saw. In the first place, there's a structural flaw with this debate. It's not really a debate. It's a joint press conference. What is a real debate? A real debate is when each opponent can ask the other questions, the questions that he wants to ask, and he can require the other person to answer. The judge will require him to answer. It has rules about how long you can speak and how many questions you can ask. Here, the journalist, Lair, asks the questions. He controls the issues. He controls the debate. And really, it's a joint press conference. So a question is put out there, and then they argue a little bit. But it's not really a debate because the candidate cannot ask the other guy all the questions that he wants to ask. So the journalist controls the topics, the debate, and the issues and the questions. And you see how one of the defects of this is that the bias of the journalist filters into the debate. One objective way you could see this is that the time that Romney got was less than the time that the president. And he got interrupted more and there was more pressure on him. You could see it, the bias. It wasn't heavy, but it was there. So did they ask all the right questions? Absolutely not. But that's another one of the flaws. Secondly, the other flaw is the flaw with the fundamental nature of the candidates. These are candidates that don't start from principle. They don't tell you what their fundamental principles are. They do sometimes have some more minor principles, but not their fundamental principles. They don't say it up front. And then they don't apply these principles to the problems and then explain why they derive the policy that they have. So the voters are basically left with a guess as to what they will do when they go into office because they don't understand the person clearly because they don't know what their principle is. Just as a reminder, a principle is a general rule that will tell you what the person will do and what they won't do. So if they're against redistribution of wealth, you know they won't do redistribution of wealth. But that's not the case in this debate because the candidate doesn't come up front with his view on whether you should redistribute wealth or not. Okay, so essentially the problem with the debate is not only this, but there's very little difference between the candidates. So Romney is simply Obama light. What do we mean by that? Well, if Obama wants X amount of spending, well, Romney wants less. If Obama wants to increase the debt this much more, Romney wants to increase it, but not that much. Obama wants to redistribute wealth, well, Romney wants to redistribute less. So really you don't have a clear contrast of people with a real fundamental difference. They are trying to eke out the middle, so they're very similar in their positions. You saw how Romney moved to the center, claiming that he was also the protector of the middle class, which is one of the main themes of this whole debate. It's demagoguery about the middle class. Each candidate claiming to protect the middle class more, to give the middle class more benefits in exchange for the votes they hope to get from the middle class. Now, this is pure demagoguery, and it's obviously class warfare and bad for the society, because what about the other classes? What about the lower class? What about the high class? They don't count? So these candidates only care about the middle class? This is ridiculous. They should care about all Americans and all Americans in principle. That's what they actually should care about. So in part 2, we're going to examine each topic individually.